everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Glad you could make it today on this beautiful Tuesday. Hopefully, it is a beautiful Tuesday where you all are, or else I'm just about to rub it in because it is absolutely gorgeous here in Oklahoma. It is like 70 degrees today. Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
67.
it's perfect. It's got
For all those
those.
kids, it is 6-7 right now here.
Oh boy.
So.
Oh no. I'm sure y'all know what that means. You've been inundated with the. It's slowed down though, and like the tide has
That's
turned. Like the teenagers have really turned on it. Like they're like that's not cool anymore. But now the little kids are like egging on the teenagers. So it's a whole thing. Yeah. If you don't know what we're talking about, just Google 6-7. I'm sure you've heard of this. I'm sure. So good to be
Anyways,
back.
yeah.
It's perfect
It's
weather.
always
I had a meeting this morning with someone from Canada, and they were talking about snow, and I was bragging on our weather a little bit. I was like, "Well, I've got the birds chirping, the windows open. You're gonna hear some roosters and some goats probably because they're everyone's enjoying the weather right now." So we're excited to talk
hopefully.
about spring today. So we spent a lot of time this past week getting our garden ready for spring. Let me share my screen. I'll show you. Got some footage from it. So we got a bunch of wood chips. This is our Instagram, by the way. We post a lot of stuff in there. We went and got a trailer load of wood chips. Shout out to Minute Materials. That's where we get a lot of our stuff in Oklahoma City from. So we got that. And then we all worked together on getting them unloaded. We got this sled that is super useful. I don't remember, I got it online somewhere, but super useful for carrying stuff around. Got everyone involved, as you can see. So, yeah, anyway, that's what we did a lot of. Do we have an after picture on here of the
I
garden?
don't, if you can believe it, I actually did
Oh man,
not get one. I was like, I need to do it.
yeah. Well, like we're still like, got a couple things to clean up, but our garden is like so close to ready now, and it's been interesting for us because it's the first year really where I've come into spring not like feeling antsy that I need to hurry up and get my garden going because we've had gardens growing all winter in our sunroom here behind me. And it's kind of taken the pressure off of spring. We're going to try something new this year in that we are going to mostly grow like more summer type things out in our garden outside and not as much of stuff like lettuce because it's just frankly easier to grow lettuce indoors too, especially with we're going to be in 100 degrees before we know it. We were almost there last week. Last week we had like 28 degrees and 95 degrees in the same week. So
And
that's
I think it was just like 2 days apart also. It was crazy.
yeah. So we spent the first couple days of our break like getting our office organized and hanging out inside, and then we went outside. So it was a good mix of everything. So I'm excited to talk about spring gardening today. We're going to cover everything you need to know essentially about getting started with growing food in the spring. So we're not going to talk about tomatoes and peppers that much today. We're going to talk more about the cool season stuff and everything that you can plant literally right now, a lot of places in the country. So if you don't have snow in the ground, then you can at least get some of these things going. And we're going to talk about how to get started and kind of some of the stuff you're going to encounter and all of that. So we've only got an hour, so we better get started. But before we do that, we need to do our giveaway. So if you are new here, we do a giveaway every week. And we do two giveaways actually. We have one that is during this live stream. So at the very end of this, we will do our giveaway then. And then if you are watching this after the fact, then you can still win. You can leave a comment on either the YouTube video or the Facebook video, and that will enter you to win. And we will announce the winner at the beginning of next week's video, like we're going to do right now. So first, let's talk a little bit about what you win. So you get a free 1 year app subscription to the Seed to Spoon premium version. This gives you unlimited plants, unlimited GrowBot, where you can literally just take a picture of a bug or a pest or a plant, and it'll tell you what it is and what to do about it. You can log unlimited gardens, unlimited plants. You get free shipping on all of your orders through Park Seed, and yeah. So and you also get a pack of seeds too from Park Seed. So Carrie, who's our winner from last week?
So last week, this was the comment right here that won. It was congratulations to Martha. So
Congratulations.
yeah, last week we talked all about peppers. So she was saying that she was excited to get purple bell peppers. I can definitely agree with that. I love purple bell peppers. I mean, obviously, anything colorful and pretty. So, yes, Martha, send me an email at info@seedtospoon.net. We'll get you hooked up.
All right. So let's
Nice.
jump in and talk about growing in the spring.
We already talked about the giveaway. See, I always have to put that in there though because I forget to mention it. I mean, but you're keeping me on my toes today.
So let's talk a little bit first about why spring is a great time to grow. Number one, cooler temps than the summer. So it's just not as hard on your body. Like growing in the summer is tough. Like you're out, especially if you like have to be out there in the heat, if you aren't able to go out in the morning, like it's hard on your body and it's tough. Growing in the spring is much easier. Also, like a lot of the things you grow in the spring just don't get as unmanageable as things in the summer. Like you're growing lettuce and cabbage and these things that are staying small and compact in like one area. It's not like tomatoes and pumpkins and everything vining all over the place in chaos. It's a more restrained gardening experience in my opinion in the spring. There's also less pests. There are some pests, but there's way less than there are in the summer. So it's a great time to grow. A lot of people don't realize they can grow early in the spring. So things like lettuce, spinach, like we'll get into all of this, here in a few minutes, like everything you can grow. But a lot of the stuff does better in the cold. So it actually likes a few freezes here and there to makes it taste better. So it's a great time to grow. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. But I did see quite a few. Yeah, several people we have in Texas, California, and Zone 9A. Yeah, I feel you guys. So I'm sorry. But you guys still have a whole bunch of things that you can be growing too. And you know what? That's here. That is why we have the Seed to Spoon app too, is because everybody is so different. Because what we can plant here may not be what you can plant up, even just a little bit west or east of us or north or south, like everybody is completely different, even within the same zones sometimes. So, check out the Seed to Spoon app because it will, here, let me pop up if you don't already have the app, there's the QR code right there. But you need to check it out because it'll give you exact planting dates. So for us here in Oklahoma, we still have 3 weeks until our predicted last spring frost. Fingers crossed. We'll see how that goes. It's been beautiful though. But down here, it'll show you all the things like that you can grow right now. So these are all the things that we can start right now, either inside or outside. And it pulls from our closest weather station. So that's what it'll do for you. It'll pull from your closest weather station and it'll calculate out the planting dates for you of what you can do. So, like for me, I mean, you can come in here and it'll show you the planting dates. So there you go. So, no matter where you are today and no matter what we talk about, you can always go to the Seed to Spoon app and check and see what you can do.
And that was the original reason why we built the app, because we started a YouTube channel before we started the app, and we started putting out videos kind of like this. Although we went back and watched our early videos, and it was so different. Then, like we were just so awkward. Just like, yeah, they're funny. Well, we want to make
I
people
feel
go
like
back
you
and like
were
read.
always really
So
good. I was the awkward one because I was just sitting there, like, I'm going to let Dale do all the talking.
we're gonna go back and like rewatch some of those old tours and stuff, and like, yeah.
It's
So
entertaining.
anyway, so that's one of the reasons why we built the app, was because we started posting videos like this, and people were saying, "Hey, I'm in Tennessee or I'm in Chicago or whatever, and I need to know when I can grow." And we needed a way to be able to make it where people could calculate it. So that was like the initial reason that even kind of got us started on like we should make an app for this. And here we are. So let's
Yeah.
talk about the next slide that we got. So I think we're pretty clear on when to start.
Oh, sorry. I was putting up comments.
Well, normally like we're both clicking buttons, so I'm like trying to not click the buttons on the PowerPoint today, so I don't mess up where we are.
I
So
know
let's
we've
talk
done
about
that.
so let's get getting prepped for the garden. So we had to do some of this past week actually, because we've got Bermuda grass that is still an issue. Even though we took a lot of these precautions last year, it gets out of control in a hurry, and especially if you take a few months off in the summer and let the weeds go wild, it just really compounds. So the easiest way to handle this is to lay down. If you can find a bunch of really big pieces of cardboard, that is the best bet. So I would post on Facebook or Facebook Marketplace, even like saying I was in search of free large boxes. And I was able to get in touch with a company that sold like air conditioners or something. So they had a constant influx of giant boxes coming in. And I went and picked them up. So maybe you've got a friend that works at Best Buy and does like TV installations. I don't know. Just try and figure out who you know that might have access to large amounts of big pieces of cardboard. You don't want to have
Or
like all these
post
little
on,
Amazon boxes.
yeah, post on like Nextdoor or like places like that too, like different social medias. Cause I know I've seen so many comments and like people asking things like that if they have cardboard or different things.
Yeah, and like if you go with the small cardboard boxes, it's going to be a pain in the butt, I promise,
Yes.
because especially if you have any wind at all, because then you just have all these cardboard like little things flying around, and it's always windy here. So the bigger the boxes, the better.
Mhm.
Lay that down first. We're also trying some of the black landscaping fabric. Now, I will say, if you buy the cheap stuff, that is horrible. It doesn't last. It falls apart easily. There is like some high quality landscape fabric though that I've seen nurseries use that made me want to try it out. And I bought some of it last year and it went pretty well in some areas. So we got some more of that too. Um, I was on the fence about it, but
We
what's
did
that?
not have we have a large area out there. We did not have nearly enough cardboard to cover everything. So we had
Yeah.
to
Well,
kind of
this,
do a mixture of both. So, hey, it's a good experiment though to see what works best. So,
yeah. So that's kind of one layer of it is if you're going to be growing on the ground, like getting the grass under control, and then you just build raised beds on top of that cardboard and wood chips. And there's a million videos on the internet about how to build raised beds, or like another option is going with smart pots, which are essentially raised beds made out of fabric that last, believe it or not, longer than our wooden raised beds. So
yeah.
we've done both. We have smart pots that have been with us from the beginning. We do not have any wooden raised beds that have been with us from the beginning anymore. They have all fallen apart. Generally, we get like 5 years out of them, tops like 3 to 5 years before they really start to fall apart. And I could do more to help with it. And yes, I could use cedar, and that would probably prevent against it. But cedar is expensive, and we have a lot of gardens. Um, so anyway, I really like going with smart pots. We have a ton of them. Um, there's a lot of different options for them. Carrie, can we pop up a picture of one
Yeah,
of our
I
pots?
was just about to say, let me find. We have a lot of pictures of them because we use them everywhere.
Yeah, so these are some of the smaller ones that we have along cattle panels. By smaller, these are still like 15. Can you go back to that previous picture
Oh,
for just one second?
sorry.
All right, these are like 15, 20 gallons ish on these for the most part. We grow a ton of tomatoes and peppers and stuff like that in these. As you can see, we grow pretty much everything, and there's a bunch of spring stuff in there now. And then we also have these larger smart pots that are called round raised beds, and they have like 100 gallon, 50 gallon, 30 gallon, maybe 20 gallon. I can't remember, but they have different sizes of those that are awesome as well. So you could just literally put those on top of the cardboard and the wood chips, fill it with soil. Um, which again, I'm not going to go too depth on this, but we use Mel's Mix, which is a combination of peat moss, compost, and vermiculite. We have a lot of videos that show how we make it and talk about that. You can save a lot of money by making your own soil. You can also just buy it in bulk from places. So places like Minic Materials, where we got the wood chips from, we can buy soil from there as well. That's already like pre-mixed potting mix. Um, the potting mix is really what you want to go for with raised beds, because you're going to get vermiculite with that, and it's really going to help with water retention. If you just go with a garden mix, it's going to be really heavy, and you're going to have drainage issues, and you're just going to save yourself a lot of trouble if you go. And then the smart pots, like we're reusing them year to year, like obviously. So a lot of like for a lot of our smart pots, we're emptying them out, cleaning them off really well, getting them ready for next year, so we're not carrying over like contaminants and disease and that type of thing. You don't necessarily have to do that, but we also get some that like will sit in water and we'll have like little mold developing. It's just like we just would get everything cleaned up and like looking nice for the season. So that's what we've been doing the past week, and that's what you can do if you want to start growing food. Um,
I'm not sure if you know this or not because I definitely do not know what
I
weight of
don't. I just went on like Amazon and looked for like the high quality landscape fabric, and it was like twice
yeah.
as expensive as the other one that I normally bought, but it was the same. And I read a bunch of reviews on it, and it was like the one that was like it's just much thicker. I'll see if I can find some details on it so I can answer it next time. But yeah, but there is a clear difference. Like, and I didn't know. Like, I didn't know that. That was something I learned pretty recently because I kind of had chalked all of that, black landscaping fabric stuff up to being the cheap junk that I hated because I tried it one year and it all fell apart and decided little shreds of it everywhere, and it was not a
Yeah.
good experience. So, but this stuff lasts a very long time. I mean, I've laid eyes on some that's years old at nurseries and stuff, and I've also seen some people. I watch a lot of YouTube gardening stuff still, and there's a lot of people out there that are growing at that where they have smart pots sitting on top of it. And I am just so tired of dealing with weeds. We came from the city where it was man. They were manageable. I mean, they were okay, but it wasn't too bad. And now we're on 5 acres, and we have 100 million trees, and we just have like weeds everywhere, and just like there's just stuff everywhere, and it's so hard to keep it under control. So we're just kind of pulling out all the stops at this point and trying everything because we spent so much of our time just fighting weeds last year that it's part of the reason why I love my indoor garden so much right now. It is nice. So
Sandy was asking if it was necessary to put straw and mulch underneath your smart pots. Absolutely not, because we have smart pots even just sitting on our cement too, and like on our porch. We put it on top of you can put it on top of wood decks. You can put it on top of grass. We have, let's see if I have a picture of an older. Yeah, I don't think I do, but we've had them anywhere and everywhere. That's just what we do is we
yeah,
like to put it on top of some mulch, but
I will
definitely
say that
not required.
if you put it on top of mulch or on top of grass or something like that, it probably will do better though. Because one of the cool things about these smart pots is whenever the roots hit the edge of the smart pot, they don't just start circling and form like root bound, fibrous, like useless roots like what happens in plastic pots. They stop, and then there's a bunch of tiny little roots that start to like poke through, and they literally grip into the ground. Like on some of these smart pots, it's hard to move them because they're like gripped into the ground, and then you go to move it and it breaks free, and then it's easy to move at that point. So like it will help it out if you could have it on top of wood chips or something like that, but it'll work on top of concrete. Typically on top of concrete in the summer, we're doing something like putting it inside of a kiddie pool or something like that, so that we can fill it with a couple inches of water on really hot days and bottom water, and then we don't get the leaf wet. And then if we want to go to the lake for the weekend, then we can because we just give it a couple inches before we go, and it's gonna be fine. So
This was a really good question, saying that I should clean mine, but where do I put all the gallons and gallons of old dirt from the smart pots? So we had that issue too. We just had like a little wheelbarrow that we took with us and just dumped the old soil in there because we were refreshing our soil anyways and adding some more compost into it and all that. So that's a super easy way to do it. Just dump it into like a little wheelbarrow and just mix in some new compost, and then poof, you have new soil in there too.
yep.
Okay. So this is a really good question that we get a lot about if you should direct sow things or transplant things and how to know which way to do what. Um, so a really easy, I feel like, rule of thumb is if it is a like root crop or something like that that grows in the ground, definitely go through and direct sow if possible because it will just do so much better for you. Also, things like peas and beans, those don't like being transplanted out at all. So they do much better being direct sown. But the Seed to Spoon app will show you like all of these things too, because it'll have indoor start dates for some things, and some things it won't have them in there. And that's because we don't recommend doing it beforehand, if that makes sense. So if you do, there are some things though that you definitely do want to get a head start on, especially for us here in Oklahoma, because as we've talked about, we go from like 20 to 90 like really quick, and it gets so hot so fast. We don't have a very long spring. So if we want to grow things like brassicas, so like broccoli, cabbage, all of those, we need to start them inside and then transplant them out. Um, so, that being said, though, if you do have things that need to be transplanted out from inside, you need to go through the process that's called hardening off. So, this is where over the course of like a week or two, you are gradually introducing your seedlings from inside to outside and just getting them used to the environment that they're going to go into. Because think about like all of the babying that they've been having inside, the perfect temperatures, no wind, no pests, no direct sunlight. Like there's a lot of, they've been babied. So you just gradually want to take them outside and just increase the exposure that they get to the elements a little bit each day. And gradually they will get accustomed to where they're going. And voila, they're ready to go.
There was a comment that I popped up that was a good call out from Riley. So if you're confused on versus what you should transplant, this is an easy way to remember what, like, there's a few that like really you should not transplant, and anything with a taproot is one of those. So generally, it's going to be any of the root crops. We're not transplanting any of those. Those are direct sowing. We're also not transplanting peas or beans. And ideally, we're not transplanting like cucumbers and squash and stuff like that either. Like all of that stuff, for one, just germinates really fast and grows really well on its own anyway, and just doesn't seem to do as well when it gets transplanted. So
Okay. Sorry, I was looking through the comments because I
yeah.
was chatting and I missed.
Okay, so let's start talking about some of the stuff you can grow in the spring, and we'll start by talking about leafy greens. And this is my favorite thing to grow in the spring. This is one of my favorite things to grow in general. Um, it's so easy to grow lettuce and spinach and kale and arugula and all of these greens. Like literally that lettuce there, I just sprinkled lettuce seeds everywhere and then walked away. And that's all
Hmm.
I ever did to grow this. That's it.
And you know what variety that is.
That's Sandy. That's your favorite, isn't it?
I can tell just by the picture. I'm like, oh, not the one in front, but the majority of it in the
Yeah.
background is all sandy.
Yeah.
I'm like, ah, it's gorgeous. I love it. Sandy is my very favorite. I had to pull up specific varieties because I pulled up my favorite lettuce and then I pulled Dale's favorite too. So don't worry. Um, but yeah, I was like, oh, that's the perfect time to pop up Sandy because that is my very favorite one. And it is super easy, amazing. I love it.
Let's look through a couple. Oh, I shared the wrong browser. Let's go look at a couple other lettuce varieties too and give some more recommendations. So if we go to Parkseed and search
Well,
for
here
lettuce.
I popped up, I have your favorite one that you
Wizard.
just learned about here, the wizard.
Yeah, this one is so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's done really well. This is what we have growing in the sunroom right behind us. So I highly recommend this one. Gotta get some reviews on it. It's too fresh. No one knows about it yet. So
I know
that's a
it.
good.
Well, it was brand new last year. I think maybe it was last year. At least that was our first year to grow it too. I'm pretty sure it was the first year for it.
If y'all aren't already leaving reviews on your favorite varieties or the ones you don't like, leave honest reviews on ones you don't like. Like it's, we do look at this data a lot to decide like what we're going to do more of or what we're going to promote or what we're going to talk about. So we go off your feedback a lot and people read it. I mean, we're talking about it every day as a team. So highly recommend like give us your feedback on what you think about different varieties and stuff.
Yeah, this is a really good
Jericho's
call
a
out. Jericho is a really
mhm.
good variety for heat. Yes.
Yeah, so the thing about lettuce is it does not like the heat and it will do what's called bolt if it gets too hot, where it forms like a center stalk instead of having a bunch of leaves and then gets up really tall and there's a bunch of flowers on it and then eventually that turns to seed. At that point, the lettuce leaves get really bitter and they don't taste good. Jericho is one of those varieties that is bred to resist that and to keep going as long as possible. So that was a great call out. That's a good variety. And a lot of these blends too. I really like going with these blends, like this tricolor romaine blend. Um, yeah, all the butter crunch is a really good one.
Yeah.
The all American selection is generally something good to go with. But a lot of these mixes are what I'm going with because again, I'm just sprinkling them everywhere. I'm not doing square foot gardening with lettuce for the most part. With like some of the romaine varieties or like with little gem or something like that where it like forms a head, I will. But mostly what I'm doing is leaf lettuce. And I'm just trying to get as much lettuce as we can during the short growing season we're going to have for it because it won't be long before it's too hot for us to grow lettuce. So just trying to grow a bunch of it. And everyone on the farm is happy about it because if we don't eat it, then the rabbits or the goats or the chickens or someone will eat it. So everyone likes lettuce around here.
Yeah, you can tell we love our lettuce, like literally so many amazing varieties. But real quick, so I love this that Sandy is growing Sandy lettuce. I thought it was great. But Sandy was asking, saying that I'm in zone 7. When should I start my Sandy lettuce? I'm going to take over really quick and show. You're probably pretty similar. We are in zone 7 also. So I was just going to pop up lettuce here real quick for you in the Seed to Spoon app because it'll tell you exactly when you can. And voila, looky there. I'm pretty sure you should be in the time frame for being able to plant it outside, just like we are, which is exciting.
We're
So
almost
yes,
at
go out and
January.
plant it.
So you're almost running out of time probably because we are. Like
Yes.
I'm at the point where I'm not going to grow lettuce outside now because I'm going to grow it indoors because we're kind of at the
Yeah.
edge of the winter. Yeah,
Yeah.
not
Or
to discourage
plant
you
it in
from
a
doing that.
container that you can bring inside too if you want to.
Yeah,
Make it last a little longer.
I've got a ton of indoor growing space, so that's kind of why I'm thinking the way I am on this. So I've got all these green stalks and everything that we're going to have in our sunroom. So yeah.
Yeah, but definitely a way to extend the life too is to plant it in like part shade or something like that, and that'll definitely help a lot too.
So let's go through spinach as well, because it's another leafy green. It's my favorite to grow actually over lettuce because I feel like there's definitely more nutritional benefit to it, and I just feel like I don't know I like spinach more than I do lettuce. So I prefer to grow spinach, but a lot of times we're mixing it together in like salads and stuff like that. As far as my favorite varieties, I think Carrie and I would both say that Imperial Star is our
Yes.
favorite. The leaves get really big, and this picture does not do it justice because these are small versions, but the leaves will get the size of your hand and are great for tortilla replacements, which is one of our favorite ways to use that variety, or to use spinach or any green that's large enough in general is basically just replace a tortilla and then have a mix of whether it's rice and ground beef or chicken or whatever, just kind of stuff that inside of there with some onions and tomatoes and here we go. I'm getting hungry again. I always do this to myself. So anyway, that's a great variety. If you're looking for more of like the smaller varieties, baby leaf is really good. Bloomsdale Longstanding is the most popular, and it does well. But I'll be honest with you, it can be kind of annoying because it gets really crinkly, and you can kind of see in this picture here. See how like crinkly it gets? Well, the older it gets, the more crinkly it gets, and then the more time you got to spend like washing it and dealing with it. And I'm just like I'm always in a hurry to do everything in my life, and these leaves are just much faster and easier to clean. So if I'm looking for smaller leaves, I'm going with something like that. So if you've always grown Bloomsdale, like a lot of times that's just like all you can find in the store. And one of the nice things about shopping with us is we have so many different varieties of everything. You can try more stuff. And we've got 49 results of just spinach. So um, call out here for New Zealand spinach. It is not spinach, but it is similar to spinach and it does like the heat. So it is something that we are going to be starting indoors like right now, essentially, and then getting outside here in about a month so that we have greens in the summer. Because that's something to consider is how you're going to get greens in the summer. And then New Zealand
Same as
spinach,
that Malabar spinach.
yeah,
Yeah.
those are the two that are the replacements. Everything else in here is real spinach. Those are the only fake spinaches. Dark side is really good too. It's one we've grown a lot of. We've grown every single spinach. So yeah. And then for some of the other, are there any other greens we want to shout out,
Well,
Carrie?
I was gonna call out Bright Light Swiss Chard,
Of
of
course.
course, because that's my favorite. And we have like a gorgeous plant in the sunroom of them. Like they are just so unique in color. There's so many different shades. Like I love these. I'm a huge fan. And they love the cool season. Harvest them and eat them whenever it's cool because they will taste incredible. Trust me, because the first time I tried Swiss chard, I harvested it like it was hot outside. So it was really bitter and didn't taste good. So I thought I didn't like Swiss chard, which is whenever somebody tells me they didn't like Swiss chard, I always tell them, when did you harvest it? And then I try to talk them into doing it again.
And this is one too that could be an ornamental. Like we grew it as an ornamental for years before we started eating it, just because how much Carrie liked the way it looked,
Yeah.
and we didn't really like the taste of it. And then it wasn't because we were trying to eat it like lettuce, or we were trying to like chop a whole bunch of it and like eat it in a salad. That's not good. Even in the spring, it's not good. What is good though is using
I
this.
think it's
You like
good.
a
It's good.
okay?
Yeah. Well, I always mix it up with like lettuce and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. I'm saying if you
I don't
just ate it
just
by yourself,
do
like
a salad of Swiss chard, but I do like a salad with Swiss chard in
yeah,
it.
yeah, totally,
Brings a unique
yeah.
flavor. Yeah.
But it's also great. This is another tortilla replacement that we're
Mhm.
regional because they get the perfect size. The leaves are, uh, I say
Beautiful.
tough in a good way because they hold together. You can stuff it full of stuff and it doesn't like fall apart halfway to your mouth and go all the way down your shirt. And which has happened with some other of the leaves that we've tried. Right? Yeah, that happens. So
And I figured you probably want to talk about your mustard greens too.
yeah, if you are a fan of mustard, the flavor that you're used to from the bottle, then I highly recommend trying growing mustard greens. I had never really eaten them or tried much of them before. And then once we started growing them and I took a bite out of it, I was like, I see why they call it mustard. And this tastes like mustard. And that's probably a duh moment. But yeah, it was kind of eye opening because I thought, like, why don't I just put this on a burger? If I like mustard on my burger, why am I putting this mustard sauce on a burger, which I don't know like what the nutritional value is of mustard by the time it gets processed and down into that jar and sits on the shelf forever, then gets into my fridge and then gets onto my burger, versus a leaf that I picked a minute ago that like is still green and looks like it probably would be healthy for me. Um, like that was some of the logic there that went into it, and since then, like I've really kind of embraced that idea, and I use mustard all of the time now. So on chicken sandwiches or turkey sandwiches, anything I would put mustard on before, which I love mustard. Carrie hates mustard. Um, it's
Yeah,
like
I
one of the there's a few things that she absolutely hates, and mustard is one of them. Pickles used to be it, but she actually likes homemade pickles now sometimes.
if we make our own pickles, they taste completely different. I'm telling you, like completely different. The ones from the jar from the store are disgusting. But I can absolutely tolerate the ones that we make. So I'm like, yes, yeah, it's good.
Okay, are there any
Um,
other greens we need to cover
yeah,
before we move
we
on
had
to
a
the next?
few questions about bok choy. Can we pull up some
Yeah.
bok choys?
Yep. So we've had, I mean, all of them have done well when grown in the right conditions.
Hmm.
Um, Now, I don't remember the details. I think the Lil Ren was nice for like using for like smaller ones, and Asian Delight got pretty big. I seem to remember that. But I would suggest trying all three. There's only three of them, so and they're
They're
all different and unique in their own way. Like they're very different.
Yeah, that was gonna like they really are all really good and like beautiful too, believe it or not. Like they were almost ornamental looking again
Huh.
too. They're so pretty. I love growing bok choy. So yes, definitely give them a try. I mean, my personal favorite was the toy choy just because I loved saying toy choy, but honestly, like they were all good and grew amazing. So yeah.
I think that Asian Delight, like we never ended up harvesting it because it was just so pretty that we didn't want to cut it,
I
and we
know,
just
right?
kept taking pictures of it for social and stuff, and like for product photos that we just think never harvested it. And I think it went to the ghost or something because it bolted by the time and we realized like, oh, it was too late. Yeah.
I'll let it go. It's too
It
good.
was just a model. That one was just a model in our garden for the season. So sometimes the plants that we don't want to harvest because it looks so good and we get a lot of really good pictures. Because that it was interesting too, because it didn't have any pest damage. And it was surrounded by brassicas around it that did have a bunch of pest damage. I remember making that mental note at the time of like, huh, that's
Mhm.
interesting. especially that the scarlet red mustard. That was something else we learned. Um, was that and the red cabbage too also had less pests than the green cabbage. That was something else we learned at that. So we'll get into brassicas maybe next. I think that's the next slide. Is it the next slide?
Let's find out.
It is.
Yes, brassicas.
Okay, so if you don't know what brassicas are, it's essentially broccoli, kale, cabbage, cauliflower, kohlrabi. Those are the main ones. I'm probably leaving someone out. I'm sorry, but those. So for us, like when we first started growing, let's start with broccoli. Because when I came into broccoli and started growing broccoli, I thought I needed to grow what I saw in the store, and I thought I needed to grow something like this. Something with like again, something like I'm used to seeing from the store, like a little miniature tree looking thing is what I was going for, right? And a couple years, I guess it was our first year, we had a really bad hailstorm, and I had a broccoli that was so close to being ready, and then it got destroyed, and I was heartbroken. And I was posting on the internet about it. Like I was really into a Facebook group at the time for gardening. Like when I was first getting into gardening, I was talking to people all the time about gardening in a Facebook group, and um, someone said, "Well, why don't you just eat the parts that like got destroyed, like that fell off, like the leaves and stuff, and all that was edible?" And I was like, "What?" And that was really eye opening. I did not know the entire plant was edible. And that night, it was like 10 o'clock at night. We made like chopped broccoli from the remains of the hailstorm, and instantly both of us looked at each other like, "This is the inside of an egg roll." At least what it tastes like, kinda. And like it was kind of eye opening for us because we realized we didn't need to grow broccoli the way that we like it's grown for grocery stores where it's like a giant broccoli head, that we could grow some of these varieties. So like Asperbrock is a variety where instead of growing a bunch like a really big head, it grows a bunch of these little side shoots, and they taste so good. Like something about them just makes them. I don't know if it's the texture. A lot of it is the texture because they're very like they're not as tough, the stems, um, and there's not as much like I don't know, I can't even describe it. It's something about the way the olive oil like goes inside of the little florets and the way the seasoning all ends up in it. It's become my favorite variety of broccoli, and I really don't mess with any other broccoli at this point that isn't something along these lines. I know Carrie still does,
One
but
more.
this is my
One more broccoli though,
of
and you
course.
even
Of
admit
course.
that this broccoli performed amazing for us
It did.
last year.
It
And
did
like,
again because of the I think because of the pests. Something about the color difference seems to be different to the pests. So
yeah,
I haven't done any research on this. I haven't validated. It's just that was an observation
yeah,
from last year. It was striking because we had plants all around it that were just covered in pests, and then the red ones or purple ones were didn't have them. So that was
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. And honestly, the purple broccoli is so pretty. Yes.
Me too, Joe. I got to stop talking. I know this is I think I got a meeting right after this. I can't even go make some food, so I better stop talking. I just gotta be quiet. Okay, well, I think that's probably all the broccoli talk. Let's talk about some of our other favorite brassicas. And I saw in the chat that I forgot Brussels sprouts. I knew I was forgetting someone, but in fairness, we don't grow Brussels sprouts because they're very difficult to grow in Oklahoma. They require a long growing season, and we just don't have that. And I'd rather grow all this other stuff. Like kohlrabi is so easy to grow.
And
Um,
fast too.
yeah, 42 days before you
Mhm.
have like what you're harvesting. So I treat kohlrabi. I think about kohlrabi the way I think about carrots, essentially, and that I'm I'm gonna plant it in waves, like succession planting, like every few weeks during the prime time for it, and then I'm gonna harvest it and use that whole kohlrabi plant in one meal. So I'm thinking about like for carrots, obviously, like I need more than one carrot in a meal. Kohlrabi though, like one kohlrabi is pretty. Sorry, at the mic is pretty decent. You're going to get a decent amount out of one kohlrabi. So
Mhm.
we have a lot of people in this house, so probably two to feed the people we've got going. If I throw it with some chicken, and then I'm gonna make everyone hungry again, but some chicken and some cheese and kind of
Yeah,
Make
we've
that
done
all
like a
together on a
really good
griddle.
stir fry with these before. And what's amazing is that like all of this is edible. So again, like the bulb itself, the leaves, all of it can be chopped up and yeah, it tastes great.
It tastes just like the broccoli stem, is what it tastes like. So kohlrabi, to me at least, tastes just like the stem of broccoli. That's the best way to describe it. And Sandy, don't feel bad. We hadn't heard of kohlrabi either until we joined Park Seed and we tried to grow literally everything that they had. And this is one of those things we're like, huh, we've never even tried that. And then we wish we'd just grown it sooner because it's so convenient. Like I said, it's 42 days, so you get stuff to harvest really fast from it, and it's not going to have a lot of pests. There's not a lot to it. It only has a couple leaves for the pests to eat anyway. Like it's just there's not a lot going on with it. It's a tennis ball with leaves, and you can eat it.
It really is.
Essentially what it is. Yeah, and yeah,
Yeah.
we just cube it. So I just cut it up and cut it into. By the time I'm done with it, you'd think it's broccoli. It looks just like broccoli cut up, and like the frozen broccoli pack that we get when we still have to buy broccoli from the store. Like we buy it frozen and it's in like the little cut up chunks. It look just like that is what I'm doing with it.
Yeah, so Sandy, it's so what you see right there is actually what grows above ground. So that little ball grows like right on top of the soil, and then it comes up with the leaves on top. It's very interesting. If you've never grown it before, you definitely need to check it out because like the kids love the look of it because it looks so cool. Like yeah, it's fun. Yeah, super fun.
Got a comment from Bruce about not having luck with broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts. So what I will say is Brussels sprouts, you're not alone. They're very hard to grow. Broccoli and cauliflower could be a timing issue depending on where you are. So a lot of people start them indoors and then move them out so they have extra time because broccoli and cauliflower do not like the heat. So if you're somewhere where it gets really hot, that could be what's going on. They also like a bunch of nitrogen. So make sure you're giving them a bunch of nitrogen fertilizer and and then pests are the biggest issue, and you can spray your plants with an organic spray called BTK. Has a very long scientific name that I will not pronounce correctly, so I'm not going to try. But you can just search for BTK or this. You can scan that QR code, and you can just spray this on your plants, and then when the caterpillars eat it, then they die. But it's not a chemical thing; it's a bacterial thing. But a bacteria that doesn't affect humans is the fastest way I can explain what it is. So
I figured
um,
at some point somebody was going to mention cabbage moths and worms, and I knew we'd come be talking about it.
Yeah, and Jill had a good shout out for blood meal too, as a nitrogen source. Like that's a really good source for brassicas. It's very high in nitrogen. It's organic. It's gonna, yeah, it's a good one. Okay, what is next? We have a lot of slides to go through and not a lot of time, so I
I
better
know
just.
that's why I was like, we better. Okay, so
Well, I
root.
think some of these will be faster. So root crops. I mean,
We did get some
Carrie,
questions about carrots and tips for those. But here, if you want to pull up,
the
the
biggest
kid.
tip is. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say this.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure this is exactly what you were gonna say too. So planting carrots is very difficult because they are so tiny. If I mean, I'm sure everybody knows if you have tried to plant carrots before, you accidentally drop in a whole bunch of seeds into one spot, and then you have to go back through and thin them down. So these right here, so this carrot tape just makes it so much easier. So it's essentially just a bunch of carrot seeds spaced out exactly how they need to be spaced out, and you just put this directly in the soil, cover it with a little bit of soil. Perfect. Poof, you have carrots. That's, I mean, honestly, the easiest way to grow carrots. And another thing I will say is that carrots can be a little bit challenging just because they take a little bit longer to germinate and they need to stay moist like the entire time that they are germinating. So just making sure that they stay moist either with irrigation or sometimes we'll go through and put like a little burlap sack over top of where we planted them out and water it in. And yeah, of course, once they sprout, take that off. But still, like it just helps retain some of the moisture in there too. Um, Definitely something to look at.
Yeah, I can't stress enough seed tape when it comes to carrots. Unless
Yeah,
you're a very patient person. Like if you like knitting or you like doing anything like that, like working with small electronics and you don't like
I love
get
to
frustrated.
knit, and I
Well,
do not like planting small carrot
well, I
seeds.
don't know. I don't have the hobby example in mind, but there's a hobby out there that's equivalent that I also wouldn't be good at because I'm not good at the yeah, not
But
good
I
at
will
that.
say the only variety that I will do is these dragon purple carrots because there's no seed tape, unfortunately, for them. But I just love this variety so much. I always have to plant it out. It's it, of course, like it just sounds fun, but these carrots are gorgeous. Oh my gosh. You pull them out and yeah, they're beautiful. I love them.
Another one of our seeds, it's only 2.95 too. We've got a lot of them out there. So if you go to the deals section on the site, then here we've got all of our deals, and one of them is seeds under 3. And you can see all of the stuff we've got under 3. So if you want to filter down to like just vegetables, then you could do that. And lots of other filters here. By the way, if there's other filters you guys want or other ways that you want to shop, like let us know because I'm one of the people that works on the site. So I always want to help make it better and make it easier to shop. So if you guys have ideas on how we can make the site better or any feedback on it, send it over to us. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, and I will say all of these root crops that you can grow now are ones that you would want to direct seed again and start them outside in your garden or wherever they're going to be, and even in a container or wherever, but make sure that these ones are going directly into where they're going to live.
Radish are really fun to grow, especially in the beginning, like when you're just getting into gardening, because you're gonna have success. And you're gonna have radishes in a month, and you're gonna feel like a really good gardener, and that's important. There's a
It
lot
is.
of things we grow just for like because I want to feel like a good gardener sometimes. Like I like to grow zinnias because they're just gonna work. I know I can go just cut one and give it to Carrie, and she's gonna be really happy about it. And it's just like it's got a lot of benefits going with it. So there's a lot of plants out there that they're just sometimes worth growing just from that aspect of it. I clicked the wrong button. Sorry. Okay.
No, you're good. I fixed it. So next, I know a few herbs are out there that, especially like if you're still in the cool season, you can still be planting out things like cilantro and parsley and all of those right there. But whenever I mean, for those of you who are like super hot, I know there's a lot of you out there who are in like Texas, California, Florida. I mean, you can be planting things like basil and like pretty much the sky's the limit and everything. But for the herbs, I did want to call out these so effortless little mats. Like they're really cute. Oh my gosh, I love these. Makes it super easy. You can just pop this. They have the parsley. There's a cilantro one too. You can just pop it into a pot, perfectly spaced out seeds exactly how you want it. Like yes, makes it so easy.
I was looking at the chat. I'm back now. Did you talk about cilantro already?
I mentioned it
Yeah.
and I pulled up the so effortless cilantro.
We had a whole live stream about herbs not too long ago, so we won't go in too much detail on this because we could talk for an hour about it, and we did. So I highly encourage you to check that out. We talk about all the different varieties of herbs and stuff. Um, some of the cool season herbs, I think she already mentioned, like basil and stuff, is gonna be more of warm season, so we'll get into that here in a few weeks when we start talking about that. But um, when it comes to like oregano and thyme and rosemary and all of those, it is the perfect time. Here we go. I'm surprised you're not. There we go. It is the
Yes,
perfect time
I
to plant
know. It is
all of
always
that.
the perfect time to plant thyme.
Carrie loves puns.
I do, especially with
She even
thyme.
made her laugh.
It's the perfect one to, yeah. I love
Yeah.
thyme
So
in more ways than one.
it is the perfect season to plant all of that.
Okay.
um, And most of those we are going to be buying transplants from the store on, like when it comes to rosemary or oregano. You can start them from seed. It takes a long time to germinate though. And I want my rosemary now. So at this point, like we're not really buying much of that anymore because we did it a long time ago and we still have them, and we're taking cuttings of what we have, and we've been propagating those cuttings in the biodome every fall. Essentially, it's kind of what we do as our when there's nothing else to do in the garden and everything's shutting down, we start making copies of everything. Basically, we're backing up all of our plants in the fall. So we take cuttings from oregano and rosemary and thyme and all of those and make a bunch of them, and then and it's really easy. You just a lot of times, like too, if we have any sponges that were left over from a batch, like if we have something that didn't germinate or whatever, then I'll save those sponges, and then those sponges are perfect for using for propagating, you know, oregano or whatever. So we do a lot of that as well, and it's a perfect time to get all that in the ground most everywhere. So okay, next
Oh,
are
we did have
flowers.
a question really
Oh,
quick
sorry.
before we move into flowers about strawberries. And I did not do a slide for
We
strawberries.
also forgot potatoes. I realized
Forgot what?
potatoes, didn't we? Is there a slide for
Oh,
that?
yeah, I didn't even talk
Yeah.
about potatoes either. Yeah. I mean, there's so many plants that you can do. Like it's hard to hit every single one. I hit the main ones here.
I will say on strawberries, I noticed a big difference when we switched over to growing park seed strawberries. I'm not just saying this because we work here. I promise. I think y'all know me well enough that I wouldn't be able to lie if they wanted me to. Strawberries before when I bought them, like especially bare roots, were so puny that like you could barely tell that there was a strawberry plant there. Sometimes it was like you just sort through the like, especially like we tried an experiment last year where we bought some from the store and then got some from Park, and there was a noticeable difference that the ones from Park are already a couple years old. They're already established. They're already ready to make strawberries. Is the point I'm trying to make here. Whereas the ones you buy from that I've gotten from other places where they're tiny and hard to even find, those plants are a year old tops, and it's going to be a bit before they're producing a bunch. So that was one kind of revelation that I
I
had when
will
we.
say too, yeah, and like whenever we got these bare roots, like we put them into the ground and it took a week or two before they started just flourishing, and they had like all sorts of like leaves and everything, and they looked just like I would have expected like a full-on transplant from the nursery to look like. I was so surprised. But it just took like a week or two for them to just flourish.
I saw a couple people comment on this. So let me come back and address this again. So yeah, what I'm saying here is if I have sponges where the seeds do not germinate, I save those sponges and I don't reuse them for seeds generally. I usually just have a it's a bucket that I just throw them into, and I just have a bucket in the garage of a bunch of them, and then I save those to use for propagation because it's been like we tried it last year for the first time using the old ones, because before we would just use new sponges, and it's like I don't want to use a brand new sponge on this. Like if we could use like reuse one that we've already got that's just sitting there. So we tried it and it worked perfect. So yeah, and not to say I mean you probably could reuse it for seeds, but with seeds I just like to start with completely fresh, sterile everything. I don't like to introduce any type of bacteria or whatever, and um, I just like to be a little more cautious with it. So yeah, it worked really well for that.
Okay.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
nice.
that's exactly what our experience was. And so whenever we did, we literally got a packet of each one because we wanted to try each one. But they all like grew together. So I don't know the difference between all of the different strawberries. I just know we get strawberries at all times pretty much. So
So there's someone asked what a seed sponge is. So this biodome kit is our favorite way to start seeds. Um, and it comes with these sponges here. So you can see this sponge. Oh, right behind you.
you see, I
So
got one right here. I just watered them though, so they definitely are very wet. I don't want to grab one right now.
so these are what you put your seeds in. And if any of the seeds don't sprout, then you're kind of left with the sponge that a lot of people just throw away. But what I'm saying is you can reuse these to do propagation, which is what we typically do with them.
Okay, do you want to pull up some potatoes really quick? We did get a question about potatoes right here.
Yeah.
So, our personal favorite, well, there's a couple, but the first one I want to mention is the Austrian crescent. Is that on there? Some there it is, right
Yeah.
there. This one was one that kind of surprised us. We didn't realize that we would like this one so much whenever we grew it, but these are, I mean, they're very small. They're nothing super impressive about the size or anything like that, but they just, I mean, they were very prolific, grew a whole bunch of potatoes, a bunch of the little potatoes. They were just the perfect size to just wash off, pop into a pot of boiling water. They made amazing mashed potatoes. Like they are just, they taste so good. Like they just, yeah, these were definitely like one of our favorites that we've grown, and we're growing them again this year.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely one of my favorites. Couple other ones I'll shout out. Purple Viking was a really
Yes.
cool one. Purple potatoes. The kids thought it was cool.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, a lot of these are just kind of the standard ones we're used to. I'm trying to think of other ones. I mean, these are when it comes to potatoes, like it's a really good value too. So for that $15, you're going to get so many potatoes. We ordered every variety a couple years ago, and we struggled to plant them all. And we have, I don't even know how many smart pots we have, but we filled every single one of them with potatoes. Like every leftover smart pot we have, we filled with potatoes, and we still had leftover potatoes. So you get a lot in these bags. So I would just pick a couple and go with it. But I highly recommend the Austrian Crescent and then the Purple Viking. And then I don't know if I was going with the third one, probably the Nicola, but I don't have strong feelings on it. Kennebec is pretty popular too.
Bet had an interesting question. Can I grow the fingerlings in a green stock? And you know what? I bet you totally could. That is an interesting
Yep.
thought that I might have to try now that you suggest that. Because I
Yeah.
mean, they are pretty small. So I mean, I imagine you put one in there and you'll get a handful of them back.
I think if we just put like one in each pocket and had an entire shelf of the green stock dedicated to that, then there's a good chance that green stock is basically just full of potatoes. And then we
Yeah,
just dump it out into a wheelbarrow and then, yeah,
yeah, because it goes through the middle. Yep, I bet you're right.
yeah, we will try that. Cool idea.
I definitely will. Yeah. Autumn was saying, I just want to know, is Oklahoma considered to be in the cool season, regardless of what the thermometer says? So, yes, technically, we are in the cool season right now. And yeah, so that's why we're growing a bunch of cool season stuff. Not quite on the tomatoes yet. As she was emailing me earlier, she's like, I really want to put my tomatoes out. And I was like, I'm I'm there too. I feel it because of the temperatures, but yeah, we at least where I am in Oklahoma, we have another good 3 weeks left.
Can we talk about
Um,
flowers?
yeah, we can talk a few minutes on flowers. Um, yeah, my goodness. So flowers, especially if you are in the cool season, there's a whole bunch of the my favorites, personal favorite, I'm going to pop up here, is the calendula. So amazing. It is an amazing companion plant, especially if you just grow like veggies and all of that. Um, calendula is probably one of my favorites. And we're growing several different varieties of them, but this one was one that's tried and true. We've grown it for years. It does amazing in the cool weather. It actually survived and did amazing through the summer for us too. So this is like a just a really good all around like flower, I feel like. I love it. Um and then of course like things like pansies and violas are always going to be something that is great for the cool season, whether it be spring or fall. And this flirty skirts is probably my favorite one, just because, of course, I got it because I loved the name. I thought it was a really cute name. But also, like, they're just really great, cute, tiny plants, and they give these beautiful flowers. I love them. Like these ones are just a little bit more ruffled. That's why they're called flirty skirts, but I liked those ones. And then the other cool season one I wanted to mention are snapdragons. So, but snapdragons, again, just kind of like calendula, while they do tolerate some cold weather, they do great in the summer too, for us at least. So, those were just a couple of flowers that I wanted to mention that I feel like, regardless of what the temperature is, hopefully somebody can be planting them wherever you are.
And then I will show too on our site, if you go to flowers, there's a cool season flowers section here. And then you can see all the flowers that are good for cool season.
Nice. And yes, Jill, I will direct seed those. Some of them I start inside just because I want to get a head start on blooms and things like that. But especially like calendula, I've started outside. I've started snapdragons directly outside before. A lot of them you can just plant seeds right now
I
too.
see some in the chat saying the audio isn't working.
Uh
But there's nothing on our side, so I don't know what's going on.
oh. Okay. Well, we can go ahead and do a winner. You want to put a comment in there and tell them that we are at time too. So,
Oh, they can hear now. Okay,
oh,
some people can hear. So, okay. I don't know. False alarm. Okay. Let's go ahead and do our giveaway, and then we can hang out a little bit longer and answer more questions, and then we can talk about
sounds
anything else we need to.
good. Okay, so our winner for a free premium Seed to Spoon app subscription along with Park Seed Seeds is going to be Jill. So congratulations to Jill. Send us an email at info@seedtospoon.net and I'll get you all hooked up with all your goodies.
Right.
Exciting.
Okay.
Okay.
I know we got a few other slides, so I want to make sure we. Oh, peas. Let's talk briefly about peas. So, peas are one of the core things we are growing in the spring. And they're very easy to grow. And if you have a fence or something like that, then it'll just climb right up that fence. Most varieties. So, most varieties of peas are climbing peas. Some of them are bush varieties and don't necessarily climb. But sugar snap peas are our favorite. This is what we're probably growing like pretty much exclusively. We're just gonna we're gonna order these in bulk, like because they have a bulk package on it, and just plant them along every trellis we have in the spring, essentially. And then we do have
Yeah.
some peas that we grow that are the dwarf varieties that we grow for like smaller areas and containers and green stalks and stuff like that. So if you have a smaller
Yeah. These
area, then
small,
that's
tiny
easy.
ones. I love them. Yeah. Okay. We'll touch briefly on pests. So I do want to say in the Seed to Spoon app, you can go through, there's multiple ways that you can see this, but on the main screen, you can go up here to critters and you can go through and pull up like cabbage worms and it'll give you some tips and tricks and things like that of how to treat for them, what to watch out for, things like that. You can also come down here to Growbot and you can either send Growbot a picture of the issue or the pest or anything like that, and it'll come back and tell you like what it is, what it can help with, and all that. And yeah. So, but that being said, in springtime you don't deal with a whole lot of pests. It's mainly just things like aphids or like we talked about with the cabbage worms. So, trying to go through so we could hit a few more of these. So if you are like a lot of gardeners and ourselves, we do try to push the temperature sometimes and put some tomatoes and peppers and all that out there. Maybe a little too early sometimes, but you get excited. I understand. I do it too. And but it's just really good to have a backup plan, really. Whether that's putting it into like a smaller smart pot and you can move it inside if you need to. Um, We also have like this little 5-gallon jug that we cut the bottom of it off, and you can just pop it over top of a plant, and that helps to give it almost like a little greenhouse effect, and it keeps it nice and warm. There's also like things that you can get. Yeah, let me pull it up. Um, they have like frost blankets and things like that that you can do. I mean, or you can just cover with a sheet sometimes as well. Like there's a lot of things that you can do to protect your plants if you do have like a last minute frost or a later than expected frost or anything like that. So,
And then we do have guides on our YouTube channel showing how we make these PVC dome hoop houses. So if you just go on our YouTube channel and search for PVC dome, that
I'm not
will.
sure where this QR code takes them, but there's a QR code that we have saved that says
Okay,
PVC hoop house. So maybe
cool.
that might be helpful.
We promise it's safe. We know where we know it goes to
Well,
one
it's
of our
something
links. We
that
just don't know.
we did at some
I know.
point. It's just not one that I know
I'm just
exactly.
saying you can't lead with we don't know where this link goes, but you should click it. I'm saying we know it goes to one of our videos.
It goes to one of our videos. I just don't know which
Yeah.
one, and hopefully it's a new video. I don't think
Yeah.
it's that old. So,
All
anyway,
right. Well, I think that pretty well covers what we were going to talk about today. We got one more slide. What is it? Questions. Okay. We did it. Thanks for hanging with us, everyone. It was the fun stream. We still got this up. We hide that. All right. So we will be back next week. We're here every Tuesday at the same time, noon central. So if you have a topic you want us to cover, let us know in the comments. Or that's generally where we're deciding what to talk about is what you guys are asking for. So enjoyed everyone hanging out with us in the chat and always appreciate you guys. We remember back when it was just Carrie and I talking to each other on this and no one was chatting with us. And this is so much better. So
oh, it is great.
appreciate you
Like,
guys.
I really do that. Like, consider you all our garden friends because we all just get together and hang out and chat. It's always fun.
Yep. All right. We'll see y'all next
See
week.
y'all next week.